I'm Joan Liptrot. I'm the Director of Service and Civic Engagement at Ryder. And I will be leading this trip with Leanna.
Hello, I'm Leanna Fenneberg, and I serve as the Vice President for Student Affairs. Work closely with Joan, and we had an opportunity previously to co-lead a service learning abroad trip. But Joan's been on many, so we might have a chance during this conversation to hear about her many experiences, and we're really excited about your interest in potentially joining us.
Yeah, so thank you, Leanna. Leanna and I led a group of students last May to Thailand for a service learning program there, which was amazing. And one of the criteria when Leanna is considering a trip is always what kinds of cool animals will we get to see. So when we went to Thailand, we got to see elephants. And so for this trip, I did tell our hosts that we want to see the sloths up close and personal. So the sloth sanctuary visit is on our agenda. So thanks to Leanna for that. So we did do this trip in the last year. We've done it in the past, but every trip is a little bit different. And we were able to, look at what we loved about it and things that we wanted to see and tweak it a little bit to make it better. So I'm even more excited than I was to go last time because I know it's an incredible experience. Panama is a country in Central America. It's between Costa Rica and Colombia. It is on that isthmus that connects Central America to South America. It is such a diverse country because you have rainforests, you have beautiful beaches. So all the things that you think about when you think about Costa Rica and Colombia are also part of Panama. So the jungle and the rainforest. And last time we went on a boat ride through into the rainforest, and we were able to see monkeys. Some of them came down on the top of our boat, and it was incredible. But it's so different because we'll fly into Panama City, which is just like any other metropolitan city around the world. It's hustling and bustling with tall buildings and lots of people and traffic. And we get there and we stay in this beautiful hotel, and you're just like, wow, okay, this could be anywhere in the world. And then the next day we get up and we travel to Pedasi, which is a small town, a couple out. I have to figure out. There we go. It's a small town, a couple hours outside of the capital, Panama City. It's on the western coast, actually on the tip of a peninsula, which I can't say the name of, but it's an ocean kind of town. Pedasi is a small village of about 2,500 people, and it's just amazing. It has some of the modern conveniences, but it also has some of the real old country kind of feel. It's a real walking town, so we did a lot of walking. We were able to walk to some shops, walk to a coffee shop. In the pictures that you see, that was some of the students in a little corner store. Some of the students brought back hammocks to kind of capture that beautiful, relaxed, kickback atmosphere of Panama. And another cool thing about Pedasi is every summer, well, their summer, which is our winter time. So we will get there in January at the beginning of their summer. In the end of their summer, they have a celebration, and they have people come and paint murals. So there's lots of murals as we walk through Pedasi, lots of photo ops to take these incredible murals, some that embrace the culture, some that embrace the biodiversity, and some that just embrace the spirit and like I said, the vibe of Panama. So it's a very chill, very laid back, very friendly community. You see there a picture of a typical house. They have very small kind of homes. We'll get to actually be inside a home. That's where Teach PTY, the organization that we'll be working with, is out of a house right in the middle of town. So you'll get to see what that's like as well. We'll be staying in Pedasi in a hostel, which is kind of like a bed and breakfast. So we'll all be staying in rooms of 2 or 3 people, and we'll have our meals there at the hostel, they have this beautiful open air kind of dining room. So you get up, and whatever time you get up, it's beautiful. You hear the birds, you see the trees, and it's incredible. And we'll have our meals there. We'll get to have some traditional Panamanian food, but then also lots of American favorites. So of the countries that I've traveled, Panama, I think, was the food that was the easiest for students to really acclimate to. It wasn't very different than what we're used to. And in fact, I think one day they had a Greek salad for lunch, and we had tacos. And so, yeah, it was just really easy to kind of adjust to that. But it's really fun. You'll get to go into a grocery store and see what that is like. One of the cool things about Panama, while the native language is Spanish, many of the residents of Panama also speak English, and their currency is actually the U.S. dollar. So you won't have to exchange money before we go. But one of the cool things that you'll discover is that your dollar goes very far in Panama, much farther than it does in the States. So we'll get an experience to kind of go into a grocery store and kind of compare some prices of things there, and really kind of get a feel for what it's like to live in Panama, in a town like Pedasi. As I mentioned, we'll be working with this incredible organization called Teach PTY. PTY is the airport code for Panama. And so this is an organization that is a couple of years old. It started here in Pedasi, and they are planning to expand it to other towns across Panama. We will be working with local children, some of them that you see here, that are learning English in an after-school program. So we'll be working with them in the afternoons. The children come from about 3 to 5:30 for the lessons. So we'll be preparing for lessons before that. We work with them in small groups and then in larger groups. So from the first day we get to Pedasi, we'll meet the children Monday afternoon, and we'll do kind of an icebreaker, get to know you activity to get to know their names, for them to get to know us. And we'll have a theme. Last year when we went, or this past January, our theme was transportation. So we prepared activities to teach them words, not just about the forms of transportation, like planes and buses and cars, but also some of the words associated with fly. We fly in a plane. So the students were able to make some really fun interactive activities with them. And then we, one afternoon, did yoga with the children. And so you'll see them in the picture down here. We got on a bus, a little shuttle bus, and we went out into the country to do some yoga under the trees on this farm right outside of Pedasi. So it was really incredible. So you'll get to see, work with these kids Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We'll spend time with them. We'll teach them English. They'll be teaching us some Spanish. It's a really exciting and interesting exchange. And in just a few short days, you'll feel like you've known these kids forever and you won't want to leave them. So Meg actually joined us in Panama last year. So Meg, if you want to chime in on anything, feel free.
Sure. So the kids were a lot of fun. They were very willing to want to be a part of the activities. And at first we did an activity, an icebreaker, where we did dancing, and at first they were like, what are you guys doing? But once they saw us do our little dances, we said our name and dance, they were really into it. So they're shy at first, but then they come around and they're just so happy to see us every time we come and see them. So it's a great feeling for sure.
Yeah, and this organization actually has people come from around the world to take part in this program. So sometimes it can be a business person, a young professional who's just looking to do something for a vacation. So they come and stay for a week or two, and they work with the children. So they're used to foreigners kind of coming. And we actually, even when we were out walking around the town, if we saw some of them, they were so cute. They were like, hi, trying to imitate kind of Americans, and how you doing? They were like, how are you? When they first said, how are you? We're like, yeah, where we're from, you say, how you doing? So then they thought that was very funny. And some of them were like, how you doing? So that, Spreading bad grammar, just another fun thing that we do. And then one of them, so the way it works, since we work with the kids in the afternoon, we'll be doing some excursions and some fun other kinds of learning in the morning. But one of the days, our excursion is actually to a kind of remote beach, not far outside of Panama. And we work with an organization called SEMA, and they are an environmental organization that is working to promote sustainable tourism and recycling. And we spent a morning with them. We only spent we learned about their organization. We only spent about an hour on the beach, and there you can see our group in the picture. There were about 10 of us. In about an hour of cleanup on the beach, we picked up over 20 bags of trash and recyclables that had washed in from the ocean. So this isn't like your typical, beach in the United States, in New Jersey or New York or even Florida or, South Carolina, where you see the beaches packed with people. These are beaches that are pretty remote. I mean, people do come to them, but they're not packed full of people. And so the trash that we were picking up was trash that had washed in from the ocean. If you have heard about the big kind of bubble of trash that is formed out in the Pacific Ocean, a lot of trash that has come off of ships taking trash to China and other countries, those kind of things, they have been carried by the current and have washed up on the beaches in Panama and other places in South America. So we were picking up trash. We picked up tires. We picked up just crazy things. You could tell people had thrown out, when you get your shampoo and the pump bottle, the bottle was gone, but the pump had not biodegraded. As you're walking along the beach and you look down in some of the brush, you'll see these beautiful colors of blue and orange and green, and you're like, oh, what is that? And as you reach down to see what that is, it's not wildlife. It's actually pieces of plastic that have broken apart and washed up on the beach. So that was, I think, really one of the most impactful parts of this trip for me, to see the bigger impact of what we as people on this planet do when we throw out our garbage. So there was lots of really great discussion after that. And while we felt really accomplished because we had picked up so much, we also realized how much more there is to do. So, so we'll be doing that again. And if any of you participated in our beach sweeps through Rider that we do every October, SEMA is actually part of the Clean Ocean Action Council International Network. So that was really cool to connect with someone that we partner with back here in the States. So we'll also be doing lots of learning in addition to our service. One of the places that we'll visit when we return back to Panama City after our service in Panama is the Panama Canal. And if you're like me, one of the very few things I knew about Panama before I went was that it was home to the Panama Canal. You might have learned about that, right? In like in social studies or something in school. The Panama Canal is really, it's amazing. It's a 50-mile canal that was man-made. It took about 30 years to build and involved several different countries, but it is what connects the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, so that ships carrying people, both cruise ships and ships carrying cargo, don't have to go all the way down around the southern coast of South America. So we get to see that. There's a really cool biodiversity museum that focuses on the really unique habitats and climate of Panama. There are a lot of species that are natural only to Panama and some of the areas there. One of the things that we're doing new on this trip that I'm very excited about is visiting the Embera tribe. And this is a tribe of native people that have been living in Panama for a long, long time. They have been there since before the first Spanish settlers set foot on any parts of North or South America. And so they still embrace many of the traditions and cultures that they have had over, you know, hundreds of years. So we'll get to visit them and learn about them, and we'll get to learn about the really unique Panamanian culture, which, as I mentioned before, is a little bit of a blend of Colombia and also a little bit of Costa Rica. Very unique kind of Latin American culture, some great foods, lots of great fruits and things like that. So hopefully you are adventurous when it comes to eating as well as traveling. When we return after our service to Panama City, one of the places that we'll get to visit is Casco Viejo, and this is the old original part of Panama City. It was built in the late 1700s, and it features architecture of the Spanish colonial period. The buildings are still standing. What used to be homes to the rich aristocrats of the time have now been transformed into clubs and shops and restaurants. And it's a really beautiful, unique, fun part of the city that we'll get to go and visit together. As I said, we will be serving in the afternoons, and we'll be having some exciting learning adventures in the morning. On one of the days, we will spend the morning at Vanao Beach, or Playa de Vanao, and there we will visit a surf dojo who will spend a little over an hour with you and teach you the basics of surfing. So hopefully you are adventurous and willing to try that. I think everybody was able to kind of get up on the boards. Don't be scared. Where we go into the water, there are some waves, but they're not giant waves. You're not surfing the North Shore of Hawaii. But we will hopefully have you hanging 10 by the time we finish. And the instructors come out with you in the water and help you kind of as you do that. So that's really, really a big highlight of the day. We also, if you see up here in the, oops, my bad. In this top picture, we will spend a morning at Isla Iguana. Iguana Island is a national wildlife refuge, and it has hundreds of species of birds and other wildlife. We'll be able to go snorkeling. When we were snorkeling, a student and I actually came upon a ray, a little stingray that we saw. I don't think it didn't sting us, but we saw it, but we were able to see it kind of swimming around, and some other really cool fish, some amazing birds, as I mentioned, that are just unique to Isla Iguana. And then we'll get to kind of hike a little bit, a short hike around this small island. And we'll see this island was actually used during World War II as a testing site for some of the bombs. And there's actually a big crater that remains from one of the bombs that was dropped. But it's just absolutely beautiful. Whatever you bring onto this island, you have to take with you. There's a structure with like some bathrooms and an office for some rangers, but that's about it. It's totally just a beautiful, amazing place. And then when we're back in Panama City, before we leave, after we've done all this service and learning and all of this stuff, we'll spend an entire day at a place called Isla Cantadora. So it's Cantadora Island. We'll take a ferry out to this island that's about 5 miles off the coast of Panama. It's part of the Pearl Island chain. Any Survivor fans in the group might have remember the Survivor Pearl Islands. And this island, we'll spend the day there. They have facilities, again, for us to just kind of relax and kick back. There's a restaurant where we'll be having our lunch. There's snorkeling equipment. You see some pictures here of the students just kind of chilling, taking in the sun, kicking back and relaxing after many days of exciting service and learning. And that's it for the trip. Leanna and I will be your leaders, as we said. But some details about the trip that, of course, you're probably wondering, so how much is all this amazingness going to cost? The fee for the program is $3,500, which seems like a lot, but this cost includes everything. It's your international airfare. It is all of your meals. It's your rooms at the hotels. It's your health insurance. It's your transportation in the country, from the airport to our hotel, from our hotel to Parací, in Parací out to all the excursions, all of the cultural activities, the surfing, the hopefully we'll be doing some dance lessons. We are also looking into doing a food tour where we'll be able to taste all the different foods of of Panama while we're walking around the country. It's all of your entrance fees to everything, and also the donation to Teach PTY for all the materials and things that we'll be using. You will also, at the completion of this program, be eligible to receive 3 engaged learning points. So that's pretty exciting. The $3,500 is due in 2 payments. The first is a $1,000 deposit that is due by September 15th to hold your spot. And then the remainder, the balance, is the final payment due by November 15th of $2,500. So there's also a $125 non-refundable application fee, and that is for Ryder to process your application and to manage all of the things that are necessary to do the program. Before we leave on the trip, once you put your deposit and you're accepted, we'll have 3 pre-departure meetings with Leanna and I. The first one in October will be to meet the other students who are going on the trip, and we'll give you basic information about what to expect and what to know for traveling to Panama. We'll give you some helpful basic Spanish phrases that you'll want to know, such as how much does this cost for when you're shopping, and those sorts of things. We'll meet in November, and we're really fortunate that there is a study abroad fair that happens in November, and we're going to plan our meeting at the same time as that fair, so that our partners, Jose and Marlon from Panama, will be able to join us in our meeting and answer any other questions that you all have. And then finally, before you leave at the end of the semester in December, we'll have one final departure meeting, and that will be safety information and any other last minute details that you will need. So we'll give you when to meet us at the airport, where to meet us, all of that sort of thing, and any other questions that you might have. So the next steps will be to make sure that you fill out the application at rider.studioabroad.com. And then once you do that, if you email me at jliptrot@Rider, we can set up an interview. It's really informal. It takes less than 30 minutes. And it's really just to make sure that this trip is going to be a good fit for you, to kind of just talk about your experiences with service and travel and those sorts of things, and just make sure that we can answer any questions that you have in person.